Welcome back, it's me, Lou. Okay, so for today's video, we're gonna hop into the time machine and travel way back to the early 90s. And we are going to revisit one of my favorite anime, and that is Megazone-23 or Megazone-23. I'm a big fan of the second film, Megazone-23 Part 2. It's one of my favorite animes. I was introduced to Megazone in the early 90s. At the time, Robotech wasn't big anymore in the 90s. You know, the cartoon ran during the 80s. And in the 90s, they had like a comic book series put out by, I think, Malibu Comics. They had a couple of different series running. And for me at the time, I remember there was a Robotech movie that was actually planned for theatrical release, but I don't think it ever did. I think it only came out to maybe just like a test screening in the theater in Texas, I believe. And so that's what the original Robotech movie was. Pretty much they took the first Megazone movie and they kind of just slapped on the Robotech label on the title screen. So it was essentially Megazone, but they just called it Robotech. So that's what kind of brought my awareness to Megazone, was the fact that there was a Robotech movie where they just kind of like, you know, took something else and just slapped on the Robotech name, much like the entire Robotech series. So then when I heard about Robotech, it was one of those things where anytime I was like at a comic book convention, I'd always go to the tape traders and see if I could find a copy of the original Megazone. And I did, and you know, eventually I stumbled upon Megazone-23 Part 2, which is my favorite one. And ever since then, you know, ever since the mid-90s, I've been on the hunt for Megazone-23 merchandise, which is really hard to come by. Some years ago, Future, a company based out of Japan, released a Garland figure, and that thing is beautiful. But that thing ran a good fortune. I think it was priced over $400, and that was like too rich for my blood. And before that, Yamoto released a Garland figure, but that one was like there was something wrong with it. It was like defective or something, and it'd always break at the shoulders. And there's also some garage kits and resin kits, but Megazone-23 merchandise is hard to come by outside of the PlayStation 2 video game. And every now and then I'll jump on eBay and I'll look for stuff, and I came across this. It was from a US seller. And what we have here is the Megazone-23 Maneuver Slave. This is the Hargan. This appeared in the first movie. And as you can see, the box is beat to hell. I kind of want to see if I can like take the box apart and just kind of restore it and make it look presentable. But that's a project in itself, and I'll probably do that in due time. So yeah, we're going to take a look at this figure and briefly talk about the DVD here. Since it's the only other official product I own from Megazone, the only other thing I have is maybe like a magazine on it and a couple of bootlegged videos from like from the early 90s. All right, so let's get started. This is the Maneuver Slave. This specific mech is known as the Hargan, or in other circles you might call it the Hagen. This is it's very similar to the Garland. This mech actually transforms into a motorbike, and it's used by the military. Alright, so yeah, this is a cool looking figure. I'm excited to check it out. It's unfortunate that the box is beat up, but the presentation's nice. I like the window. It's cool with the logo here. I love the fact that on the back, it's kind of like a lot of these smaller Japanese kind of like toys. They're almost kind of like if you bought, I can't remember what they call them, but like anytime you buy any of those blind candy toys, they always come in these larger boxes. And then this figure is very much in that kind of style. You know, it's not like a premium collectible by any means, but it is a collectible. It's like more so like a fun like desktop or shelf toy. And over here you have the prototype Garland, the proto Garland. You have the Garland. This is the one I want. I want the standard Garland. I love the color scheme of the white and the red. And here's some of the other mechs. Here's the Hargan, the one that I purchased. There's a blue one, and there's also the GR2. And then over here, you know, it denotes that these are the mechs from the first movie and the second movie. There is a part 3. And I want to say, I'm not sure when it is. It's either late summer or early fall. They're releasing I think it's a Blu-ray collection of all 3 films. And I had that pre-ordered on Amazon. I'm really looking forward to getting that. Okay, so let's begin and open this up. This box is beat to hell, and like I said, I kind of want to see if I can restore it at some point, because I've actually restored boxes in worse shape than this, but this one has so much like tape on it. I'm not sure if that's gonna like be an issue. Yeah, this thing is really old. As you can see here, the tape is like yellowing and it's all crusty. And here's his weapon. Let's get this out. Now, just by looking at it, I'm assuming that this is a softer, like vinyl plastic. I think. The weapon, it's very, very minimal in terms of the details. Very sculpted, which is all right because it kind of mimics much more of how it would look in the actual 2D animation. You know, there's the 3 barrels in the front. There's this plastic protective wrap on the front. And this figure stands in at about, it's a pretty small figure. I'm guessing maybe like 4 inches. Yeah, this guy's a little under 4 inches. And let's take a look at him closely. So we have the Hargan from Megazone-23 Part 1. As I'm handling him, it actually feels like a pretty decent quality figure for its size. This is a much older product. I think this came out back in, let me double check the year if it's on here. No, I don't see a date on here. I want to say this came out in either the early or mid 2000s, I think. Yeah, nice looking figure. That much like the gun, the weapon, the details are very minimal. There's not a lot of going on in terms of the sculpting. It's very soft sculpted. The edges aren't as hard as I'd like. But it's a nice mech design. It's very simple. It kind of reminds me of the Gladiator mech from the Macross series and Robotech. I don't remember the actual Japanese name, but the Robotech name is the Gladiator. It kind of reminds me of the Gladiator. My light's hitting this figure pretty hard, so some of the details are kind of blown out. So here's the front, profile view, and the back. It's possible that the reason why this looks like the Gladiator is because I want to say I think Megazone was animated by the same studio that did Robotech. I think, and they might have had the same mech designers. Alright, so in terms of this guy's articulation, even though it's a smaller figure, I think his head rotates. I think. It's pretty tight, though. and it's hard to reach. Yeah, his head rotates left and right. It's a very snug fit. His arms rotate, as you can see, and they come off. So if you've handled a style of action figure like this, you'll know that, you know, stuff just comes apart. You know, it's not like things are like glued in or locked solidly into place. So the arms rotate. Do they go out? No, they don't go out. Biceps swivel. Elbow bend. It's hard for my camera to focus on this guy too. Like I said, my light's like just completely blowing them out. So I just gotta adjust my lighting just a little bit. Waist articulation. I believe his wrists rotate. Legs kick out pretty high. Wow, that's pretty high. Do they kick out to the side? No, they don't kick out to the side. Just a little bit, because it appears that it's on a ball joint. And the knees bend pretty far. No. Oh, there is ankle rotate. There's some play in the ankle. And again, you know, these things come apart pretty easily. You know, there's not a whole lot. You know, there's simple pegs and sockets. But in terms of the posing, you know, it's pretty nice for this scale of action figure. So in the cartoon, this guy actually transforms into like a motorbike, but this toy does not. So. And again, one of the frustrating things is that like the peg here is so short that every time I want to move the arm, it just kind of like pops it out of the socket. Let's see if I get. All right, so yeah, there's this guy. Excuse me. All right, so since we're on the subject of Megazone, like I said, part 2 is my favorite of the 3 animated features. This was an OVA. Back in the day, if an anime wasn't a series, because in Japan they would create a lot of stuff that was specifically kind of like direct to video, and there'd be like, you know, they'd be shorter features, and those were always called OVAs, original video animation. Over here we have Shogo, and then we have Yui, the 2 main characters. Here's the back of the DVD. Some nice artwork of the garland. This is the actual mech that I really want. It comes with a poster of the main characters. Oh, excuse me, I'm like losing my voice. Alright, let's get this out. It's a nice piece. I kind of wish they'd have some of the mechs on here also. I don't know. It's well illustrated, but it's kind of a little. I don't know. I kind of feel it's a little bit flaky. You know, in my opinion, it's not that. It's not a showstopper. Nice interview here. And it comes with character profiles on all the main characters. And there's also some descriptions of the different mechs. This is a different version of the Hargan. I believe this is the like space version. So so the mech, this is called, when it's in the robot form, this is called the maneuver slave. And then when it's in the motorbike form, that's the bike unit. I believe that's what it's called. So yeah, this is one of my favorite animes. It might seem a little bit dated. I mean, it came out way back in the day, so I don't know if this is something that, if you're like a younger anime fan, something you'd be into. The movie The Matrix, I always kind of felt that they pulled certain elements of The Matrix from Megazone, especially like the Gorig. If you've seen the anime, there's these like giant mech monsters that they almost kind of like resemble those giant like squid looking things in The Matrix. And even the story is very kind of like Matrix like. There's certain themes in there that they explore that it kind of feels like The Matrix pulled from this anime specifically. Because the Wachowskis are actually anime fans from back in the day, so I wouldn't be surprised if this was an influence on The Matrix. Alright, so with that being said, let's wrap this video up. It ran a little bit longer than I thought it would. Great action figure. It's kind of a bittersweet thing because, you know, for one, I finally have an action figure from Megazone, but at the same time, it's not the figure I wanted. So I'm still on the hunt for like a normal Garland. And if I can't find one, I might just have to resort and try making my own, like scratch building one from like model kits and transformer pieces, because it's a mech that I've always loved since I was younger, and I really kind of want one. Alright, so wrapping this video up, once again, my name is Lou. If you are new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning subscriber or viewer, thank you so much for your continued likes, comments, and support. I greatly appreciate it. So, until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I'll see you at the next one. Alright, later.